Hello, friends, and welcome to episode number 31 of the Elevate Your Craft vlog. And this is Journey to Running a Marathon, Volume 4. So just checking in on my progress so far. As you can see on screen, I've updated one of the runs, and that one is a personal best half marathon time. But I must say, the whole experience is slightly marred due to my not achieving what I set out to achieve. As I said in the previous video, my goal was to run a 31 kilometer distance at this run. However, I was not able to do so. I made it 23 kilometers. In the end, it felt kind of bad. I was disappointed in myself. But the good thing is that I ran my PB, or personal best half marathon time, which is fantastic actually. And that's partly why I didn't make it the 31, is I was running too fast. So the pace there, 5:53, so 5 minutes, 53 seconds per kilometer, which is, again, the fastest I've ever run for that distance. And it came as a pleasant surprise, I've got to say. I mean, I felt great for most of that distance, the 21. But there was a point there where I did have a low, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But I do know now that that was too fast a pace at this point in my training in order to make the 31. So again, I'm slightly disappointed, but not all bad. There are a lot of things that I've gleaned from this, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today. So I think what I need to do for the next run, or the next long run, which is still the 31K, I am going to achieve it. But on a more general level, I need to approach longer distances in a more intelligent way, a more strategic way. Some of the things that I need to consider are, do I need water? Do I need to keep electrolytes with me? Should I have eaten more, or should I even have eaten less beforehand? So far, I haven't really considered hydration or electrolytes during the runs. I certainly have before and after, but not during. And that's something that I think beyond the half marathon distance, I will need to be smarter about. So that's an important lesson I think I had here. Like, I was just worrying about it beforehand and after the runs, but during, and I felt it in this run, was the hydration aspect. So that's one of the things that I do need to consider for the next long run. And I gotta say, even my mindset wasn't awesome during this whole run. I felt good physically for the most part, but just my mind wasn't where I think it needs to be. And part of the problem is not almost all of my runs have been indoors up until now. Not even up until now, like I say, they've all been indoors so far, and I'm waiting till the warmer weather to get outside. But where I'm running, it's a track. It's not a great track. It's fairly small. It's at a gym that has a very diverse clientele, everyone from athletes to senior citizens to families to kids. And in this case in particular, there were a lot of people around, kids everywhere, people slowing down, running in the wrong lanes, getting in the way. And I found it very frustrating. But that's also a valuable lesson. I mean, ideally, I'd be outside in relatively cool weather, straight, not a lot of sharp turns or none, ideally. But this was an interesting experience because it really put my mind to the test in dealing with all those things. So that made it tough. I think there was a lot of wasted energy, but my mind didn't feel awesome during that run just because of the distractions, and I already had sort of an intense focus and nervousness. I was really nervous going into this run. I don't know exactly why. I think the distance maybe was a little bit daunting because I've never done it before. So I've got to strengthen my mind and really look at and analyze how I felt and how I can improve on those things. But there are also some physical things as well, some questions that I've asked. I think my technique is pretty good, although I don't worry about that too much right now, just because I think I need third-party critique for that, or I like somehow record myself running. But I'm still at a stage where I'm developing my capabilities, my mind, and learning a lot. I'm still fairly new, so I can't be too disappointed in myself throughout this process so far. But some of the kind of the more physical questions, or physical related questions I was asking myself was, should I be doing different or more warm up? I mean, if I'm honest, I haven't really been doing a lot of warming up beforehand. I'll do a little bit of stretching just for my TFL mostly and hip mobility, but I don't think that's the way to do it. I think I need to do things that are more dynamic, you know, whether they're leg swings or kind of just different bounce type exercises, movements, something dynamic, or even a walk before I run. I need to do more of those things as opposed to just starting up. You know, okay, here I go now, run 31 kilometers without, you know, the proper warming up, priming of the mind, priming of my body. So those are questions that I'm asking myself. But I think my cadence seems fairly comfortable at the moment at 170. As I develop my speed, it should increase, but again, kind of like technique, I'm monitoring it, but I'm not too worried about it. I think my biggest issue, which seems normal, is conditioning my muscles for the beating that they take. That's my greatest challenge at the moment. I don't know that that's ever not a challenge for anyone. You know, depending on the circumstances, the distance, the speed, all those things. But that's my biggest challenge that I'm dealing with right now. And but I think something that will get better over time. And then the shoes. So I don't have a lot of experience, frames of reference for shoes. As you know, up until 2 weeks ago, I was using, they're basically sneakers. They're the, I forget what they're called, the Adidas knitted shoe. They're more sneakers, but they have sort of that hovercraft pad, like really big rubberized bottoms that if I remember correctly, were based off of those hovercrafts. But anyway, I was using those and they were okay. Again, I don't have a lot of frames of reference or really anything to compare them to for me. But I picked up new shoes a couple weeks ago. They're the Reebok Float Rides, and they've been pretty good so far. I mean, they're definitely better than the ones I was using. I really like the padding on them. The stability and the movement in the shoe doesn't seem ideal. But I'm getting used to them, I'm working them in, and you know, at this point I don't have the experience and all that kind of thing to comment on them specifically for you know, top level running and that kind of thing. I'm just going with it. I'm not worrying about the shoe too much right now. I think there are a lot of fundamental baseline things that I just need to improve on before I can really chip away at the things that make elite runners elite. And whether I'm even looking to be an elite runner, I don't think so. I'm more interested in achieving the distances, improving my mind, how I think, under challenge, under tremendous strain and things like that. So I'm not thinking too far ahead in that regard. But I am looking forward to getting outside. That's something that I think would be a lot better. Really, I started training in earnest during the winter time, which means I don't really like running in the cold. So maybe I should be at least a little bit. but I think, it being the start of my training, I just didn't want to do long distance running outside, and it's been very cold too. So I've kept it indoors. I'm really looking forward to getting outside, seeing the sunrise, it being nice and cool, and the normal stuff that's associated with running. What else? What other questions am I asking myself? The leg strength training component has suffered a bit in a certain way, I guess, because I think running actually does increase your leg strength. But traditional calisthenics, which is another big area of my athletic life, has slowed down because I'm running more. There's always sacrifice. I'll never be able to do everything, so I am coming to accept that, but I do need to find some consistent strength training for the legs specifically that I need to incorporate with my running. I think long term that will be best. I'm still doing a lot of strength training in general, but trying to incorporate everything is a bit tougher when you add in running. So after a long run like the one I did yesterday, I'm pretty sore right now, so to do a leg strength training session is tough. But I can do other areas, so I am keeping up the best I can. So the main takeaways, I think, from this run are, even though it was pretty disappointing for me in not achieving what I set out to do, because so far I have achieved what I've set out to do, even if it was a little bit ambitious. But I think beyond the half marathon distance, I really need to approach it more strategically. So it's been an excellent learning experience. Outside of that, I'm so happy with my half marathon time and my comfort level with the half marathon distance. I've never been this comfortable with that distance. I think that going forward, it'll get better. And I actually beat my previous half marathon times by a considerable margin too. I think it's, let's see, what does it say there? 2:15. Yeah, and that's for 23. I decided to go the extra 2 kilometers just because I wanted to push myself a little more. I was hurting, but I wanted to push myself as much as I could. So that's the time for 23 kilometers, but I did achieve my best half marathon time, which was 2 hours and 3 minutes and change, which compared to my previous times were at least, let's see if I have it up here. I do not, but it's about 10 minutes. So I'm very happy with that. And I'll take the good with the bad. Something else I've been thinking about doing is incorporating maybe walking at some sort of interval. And I don't like that idea. I've always considered having to stop and walk failure in my long distance runs. And I don't think that is something that I should maintain. I don't think it's failure either. I'm trying to convince myself that it's not. I guess just with my personality, I think that I want to, or I should be able to run the whole time. But the more I read and the more I consider the extremes of distance, the 50 kilometers, the 80 kilometers, the 100, the 150, 100-mile runs and things like that, there are, I'm sure most do incorporate walks in them. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's about perseverance, it's about pushing yourself, it's about reaching that distance. So I think what I may try and do down the line, and for the 31, I'll likely try and maintain a run the whole distance, but at a slower pace. So I'm going to use the data from this run and say, okay, my average pace was 5:53. Let's make my average pace maybe 6:30 or 6:45, and then see if I can achieve that 31 with that pace. And if I still have trouble, if I can't do it, then maybe I will incorporate, every 2 kilometers, I'll do a minute walk or a 2 minute walk or some iteration of that, and then see how I do. And maybe if I achieve it that way, then I can work from that. So again, the mind games, I don't want to consider figuring out some sort of walking interval. I don't want to consider that failure. I just want to consider it strategic. Especially, again, I'm pretty early in my training, and I think I'm doing very well for where I'm at. So this was a really good learning experience, this run, with some disappointment. But, I love the data, I love looking at it, I love analyzing it and seeing where I can improve. So, I'm feeling really good. I am feeling really good about it as well. So that's sort of where I'm at right now. The next run, as you can see on the screen there, will be tomorrow, but it'll be a recovery run. I love the 10K distance for recovery runs. It's incredible, how comfortable I am with these distances now. And it's just onward and upward from here. A 5K, a 10K used to be so daunting. A half marathon used to be so daunting. Whereas now, I'm getting better at them. And it's such an amazing feeling. So that'll be the next run, just nice and easy. Look to maintain a heart rate between 145 and 155. Just feel good, taking a lot of breath. Enjoy my surroundings. Get the blood flowing and things like that. Then do some nice dynamic work as far as stretching and really look to nurture my body and keep myself injury-free so I can keep enjoying the running. But that's it for me now. That's the running update. I'm loving this. I'm having a lot of fun. And what else? I did keep the indoor run there, the 3 kilometer distance on screen as well. Those are the speed runs. I'm still going to go with the 3 kilometer ones for now, just to really test my speed and how quickly I can go. Eventually I want to get up to 5, but that's what that other tile is. And I'm also coming off the success of the 200 pull-up goal. So that's 200 reps of pull-ups in one session. I timed it. I did 58 minutes and 57 seconds for 200 reps, which is awesome. So a lot of success here, so I can't be too disappointed, but this is definitely a learning experience. And a new word of the video, and that's torpor. And it's a state of just sluggishness, of low physical and mental activity, which today is not too far off. So really going to look to rest and recover. But that's it for me. On YouTube at Elevate Your Craft, all one word, and then on Twitch, KASMANASTY. So I do record video and stream whenever I get a chance, so check me out there as well. And that's it. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Until then, take it easy.